I don't like to laugh when video game studios, especially independent studios, start to suffer. We start to see layoffs. We start to see studios just get completely shut down. Well, the developer for Hyper Light Breaker is launching a Patreon to survive after layoffs. Now, not too long ago, we talked about this game and how they were partnered with Sweet Baby Inc. I'm not going to try to say I told you so, but I told you so. If you partner with Sweet Baby Inc., it's essentially a nail in the coffin for your video game. So, Hyper Light Breaker, here's a screenshot. I think we talked about this maybe a month ago and how the studio was using Sweet Baby Inc. The studio's name is Heart Machine. They're the developers of the upcoming Sweet Baby Inc. Infected Hyper Light Breaker. And yeah, they launched a Patreon. And typically, people use Patreon to have support, to have extra perks, extra benefits for their supporters. But now they're doing it. They're literally taking fan donations, which I'm on the fence about that because I even have a Patreon and stuff, but I'm not losing my money. I'm not a studio that's going bankrupt because I got infected by DEI. Okay, so I'm not trying to laugh. I'm not trying to relish in this, but the proof in the pudding is that Sweet Baby Inc. got in bed with another studio, and that studio's failing now as a result of it. And we just talked about Devolver getting involved with Sweet Baby Inc. yesterday. It's just crumbling down, guys. So it's like you're literally putting a virus inside of your studio if you work with this company. This article from Fandom Pulse, shout outs to them, says back in November, a report from James Batchelor at Games Industry revealed the company dismissed a portion of its workforce, although it's unclear which departments this has affected. So yeah, they laid people off back in November. The company's community manager, Yi Zhang, claimed that the layoffs will not affect Hyper Light Breaker's release, and we pressed X to doubt on that. I think this studio's struggling a lot more than we're letting on, especially with the fact that they have a Patreon now. Says Zhang even appeared to imply that laid off employees might be able to rejoin the company depending on the game's success. In fact, a strong and timely launch will rekindle opportunities for those affected as we look to evolve and grow the game throughout early access. Is this even in early access? I'm not sure at this point. So apparently, Hyper Light Breaker was one of the games that Embracer Group retained after it sold off Gearbox to Take-Two Interactive Software Inc. back at the end of March. So one of the games from Embracer Group. So this game was already in development in the past. That sucks that Sweet Baby Inc. Had to get involved with it because I like indie games. I like games that go out of the realm, but this day and age, developers feel like they have to have a narrative consultant there so that it's politically correct, so we don't get fifis heard of people who don't know whether they're a boy or a girl. So continuing on, it says the game had also been added to the Sweet Baby Inc. detected Steam curator group. Given Sweet Baby Inc. revealed that it had worked on the game in regards to world building, story structure, and character development. And again, I don't understand what Sweet Baby Inc. needs to stick its thumb in to build a world. So this is a previous screenshot from Sweet Baby Inc.'s website. It has since changed, but you can see this was at the time. All of their projects, notable projects on here: God of War, Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, Suicide Squad, the game that like caused it all for Gamergate 2.0, and then everybody threw a shit fit about Steam, the Steam curator group. Remember, Chris Kendrick tried to literally shut it down. So a lot of these stories is just repeating history, guys. A lot of honestly, at this point, if you're a studio, which is why I'm upset about Devolver, and you're getting involved with Sweet Baby Inc., you're just asking for history to repeat itself. Why haven't you paid attention to all the other projects and clients that have suffered? Tales of Azuzu, was that it? That game that Hypnotics live stream called a Spear Chucker game? That game ultimately bombed. Fucking Suicide Squad bombed. Like, you couldn't even save DC Comics from this. Going on, says the company's founder and creative director, Alex Preston, had also shared in August before the layoffs that the company was delaying Hyper Light Breaker's launch to Steam Early Access to sometime in 2025. So it hasn't happened yet. And I'm going to be very curious to see what happens. see how bad this game performs. I don't think it's going to do good at all, especially as a small studio. Tsunoda says he explained after much evaluation and many conversations with our publisher, Arc Games, we decided that we need just a little more time to get the gameplay experience polished to our standards. Therefore, we're now looking at early access launch data very early next year. So maybe it could work. If nothing's coming out, usually nothing comes out January, February-ish. If they're polishing it up, good for them. Good for them. But I think, not there's not enough polishing in the world to get the Sweet Baby Inc. stench off of you. Especially with everything that they have done, everything that we've seen their employees do throughout this year. Chris Kindred, Kim Belair, just to name two of the biggest offenders, how low they go to attack people that criticize it. Then you have journalists that are in their back pocket that will write hit pieces if you don't comply and succumb to the woke mind virus. It's honestly not a good look to work with these guys, in my opinion. Right? Because all these people get lawsuit happy. Preston added, we don't want to ship a project, even in early access, that we're not satisfied with on a number of fronts, especially in the current state of the industry. We need to put as good a foot forward as we can. So good on them. Sounds like it's well-intentioned, but again, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Continuing on, this article says, now following these layoffs, Preston announced the company has launched a Patreon in order to stay afloat. On the company's official YouTube channel, Preston stated, so state of the industry, not great right now. Games are the greatest form of expression that humans have ever created. There's a common saying in development that it's a miracle that any games are made at all, let alone good ones, and now it's even more brutal. Over the past 2 years, the industry has rapidly changed, flipped around, and turned upside down. Funding for new projects is sparse even for successful developers. Everything is far more expensive to make. Paths we used to be able to take to create projects no longer exist. And he's right. I mean, look at the budget of some of these games that are coming out. They're rivaling the film industry at some parts. Like some studios, they're just spending millions of dollars. I mean, look at Ubisoft. Look how much Skull and Bones costed for Ubisoft. Even Star Wars Outlaws or Assassin's Creed Shadows. Those are like millions of dollars spent. And the problem is that they're also spending a lot of money on DEI initiatives. They're wasting a lot of money for resources that don't matter. Instead of just making great games, they're literally harming themselves. They're making stuff that has potential, but at the same time, they're attacking gamers. They're making games that are full of political messaging, making dumb choices, and the whole industry is changing over the last 2 years. Look at how much DEI has infected it. Look how many studios are coming out and closing down. Like the studio that made Redfall, they came and went. The studio that made Forspoken came and went. The studio that made Concord came and went. Continuing on, he says, you've likely heard about this on some front. It's grim. 30% of all games developers have either been laid off or had their roles significantly reduced or affected over the past year alone. Studios have closed, many have left, and we at Heart Machine are not immune, having gone through layoffs in November of this year. And here's Preston's video. And I'm not trying to kick this studio while they're down. The main point of this video is when you work with Sweet Baby Inc., this is what happens. So he shared specifically why he and the company are launching the Patreon, saying since the old models are not enough, we have to adapt. So we're asking for support to help us continue to not just survive, but adapt and thrive, to help us prototype and build new projects, help support us when the state of the industry has made it harder to exist. According to him, this is what they're offering through Patreon. To give a more thorough and deep insight into our processes and what it takes to make games, sharing exclusive write-ups, videos, concept art, blah, blah, blah. Now, they're also going to share more about issues in the gaming industry driving the state of turmoil. I don't see how that's a benefit. And to reach a bigger audience with more transparency. So good on them with that. People like transparency, but you need to offer like shirts, swag, merch, exclusive stuff, or else people aren't going to be giving you money. Now, the Patreon features 6 different supporter levels ranging from free to 100 per month, and it currently has 390 members. And it's going into, okay, here we go. It's going into Steam Early Access January 14th at $30. Not too bad. not too high of a price. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Patreon if we have a link to it. Let's see if they have their funding visible. It looks like they do not. Who knows if this Patreon method is going to save them? I don't think it will. The Sweet Baby Inc. stench is already on them. You hate to see it, but at this point, it's hard to feel bad for any studio that's still doing business with them. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, guys. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscription button. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for watching.